what a lovely scene.
I love Maya Rodale so much.
Yeah, I mean, there was so much about that that stood out to me. What drew you to reading this story and this scene in particular?
Sure. For a long time, I did not consider myself a romance reader. I had kind of absorbed the snobby idea that romances were retrograde and violent and just, I didn't know what I was talking about. And this was one of those books that I found at exactly the right time because it upended so many of the assumptions that I had made. And this is a book that is so focused on consent and exploring pleasure in an empowering and safe way. And also, like, very directly deals with a survivor's experience of trauma and learning how to trust again and experience pleasure again. And so it was a really important book for me in terms of learning to love romance and understand what it was capable of. And also, it's just so good. Like, it does all of those things, but it doesn't feel didactic. It's so sexy and sweet. And the beginning of the book is just these two strangers stranded in this inn during a rainstorm that won't end. And so we get several days of them being cozy and hanging out and like slowly building that trust. And then, of course, it becomes much more wild and crazy when they finally leave and have to rejoin the world. But to me, this is one of those books that's so special. And I reread it yesterday and I was like, I think this is the scene because it exemplifies that so well.
Yeah, I mean, what was so interesting about this scene to me is in many ways, the actions that he's describing are what you would expect to see at the beginning of a seduction scene, but it's so unique because he's not doing them. She's doing it to herself, and so she's empowered, but it's still this incredibly intimate
Mhm.
expression between the two of them.
Absolutely. And it's really sexy and it escalates to a very sexy place, but at no point did they touch. And it felt so unique and thoughtful to me. It's really good.
Yeah, I haven't read it, but now I really want to. And I love that the whole plot, it sounds like there are so many markers that are like, okay, I'm clearly in probably Regency or Victorian England.
Yes,
I
Regency, yeah.
know what the genre is that I'm in. But for it to start at a rainstorm and then to have this like extended road trip, it also is finding ways to be a little bit different inside of the genre expectations.
Yeah, it's definitely in that Regency world. As things kind of pull back, we see that there are dukes involved, and there's a lot in here about aristocracy and classism. And something that I find really interesting about the book is the way that the author manages to make it feel incredibly modern. Like I read this, it came out a few years before the Me Too movement took center stage, but I read it in that context. And so for me, I was like, oh my God, this feels so timely, but it also feels very period appropriate in the way that everything is handled and the language that the characters have to describe both positive sexuality and experiences that are traumatic and violent. And so it's to me, it's like it is quintessential historical fiction while also really connecting to readers like me when I was a 25-year-old little snob.